When you're changing the blade, make sure the tool is unplugged and the switch is in the off position. You can install the blades with the teeth up or down, depending on the angle you need. Usually, you'll have a quick change mechanism that lets you slide the blade in place and lock it in. Tug on it to be sure it's set in place. Use the right blade for the material you're cutting. As a general rule of thumb, the fewer the teeth per inch, the faster and rougher the cut. And when cutting metal, you'll usually have finer teeth. If you're making deeper cuts, use a longer blade. It should always extend beyond the shoe and the thickness of whatever you're cutting. Start the saw and then bring it to the surface. Use the shoe to steady it and cut back on vibration. Hold it tightly with both hands. It has some kick, and you'll need to use some pressure to keep it in control.
Horizontal bandsaw. In order to first use it, we'll start by opening it by using this lift lever here. And now we have access to the clamp area and we can insert our part. And then we'll clamp it down loosely using this knob here. Now we'll come over to these two knobs. This knob here controls the speed at which the saw will fall to our part. This knob here controls whether the knob is falling or not. So we'll adjust our knob to a higher speed, which is 10, 1 being the lowest speed. Once it's at a 10, we can flip it to on so that it starts to fall. Now the machine will start to fall towards our part. We want the machine to get really close to our part, but we don't want it to actually touch our part. So as it gets closer, I'll get ready to stop it. And I'll stop it by flipping the switch to off. Now I can loosely unclamp my part and line it up here with the saw. Then I'll come back to the clamp and I'll tighten it all the way down so that now our part won't move anymore. Now that our part is secure, we'll prepare it for cutting. So we'll adjust this speed knob based upon the material that we're cutting. When you're cutting steel, you'll cut on a 2. When you're cutting aluminum, you'll cut on a 3. So since this is aluminum, I'll change this to a 3. And in order to start the saw blade turning, we'll push this green button here. If there's ever an emergency while the saw blade is turning, you can push this red button here to stop it, and that will shut it off completely. So to start it again, I'll push this green button. And once the saw is spinning and the coolant is coming out, we can flip this switch to green and that will start the cutting. You'll notice that the saw completely turned itself off as soon as it finished cutting. So now we can retrieve our part, and that's how you use the horizontal bandsaw.